looking good.
Yeah, okay. Woo! All right, the question is this the one that we're streaming to, or is it the other one? That's what I don't know.
Should be streaming to the 720.
Yeah, I know, but it's not, because it's a different thing. Like I told you yesterday, it was a little bit different. That's okay. Hey, guys, welcome to the Church Media Guys show. We are getting a late start today because we've been trying something new, chief of which is bringing on another guest. And I'm trying to do it in a really cool way and stuff. And I think what I've kind of run up against is that this old Mac Pro that I've been using to run vMix and do that is kind of getting along in the tooth. So I may have to do a build of a streaming rig, which is a whole nother set of content that I can create for you guys. Anyway, we're going to be getting started here literally in like 10 or 15 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and switch cameras. And there we go. We're on the main one. And let's see. Let's stop the music. And haha, here we go. Everybody say hi in the chat, if you would, please. I would appreciate it. Let's see. Hi, Christopher says, yes, time for an actual PC. Well, it is, but you know, this is a hefty box, so it's kind of hard to let it go, but that's okay. It has served its purpose, but if we're going to go any further, it's time to get myself like an Omen or something like that, or build something. I don't know. It'll be fun either way. All right, let me bring on Justin. Everybody say hey.
On,
hang on a sec. Hang on. I can't find you. Hang on. You keep talking. Changed. Stop talking. Stop talking. Hang on. There you are. Okay, now you can say hi.
Yeah, I can't talk right now. I'm busy putting out a fire.
What happened?
Because the link changed.
Yes, the link changed. The link changed.
The link I put everywhere is now different. So I got to go back to everywhere.
I know.
And here's and tell everyone the link has changed.
I know. Here's the deal. That's part of the problem that we've been having today, because we switched over to streaming with the API and not streaming with the RTMP. So it automatically Restream automatically gets everything set up and ready to go. So Justin didn't completely understand that, so he went in and got things scheduled the way we had been doing it. We got to come up with a new process on that. So those of y'all that are joining us late, sorry about that. All right, let's see. Hello to Charles Richardson. Hello to Alex. Hello to Garth. Hello to Ronnie. CJ. Charles Jack. I don't know. I'm guessing here. Hi, CJ. Cecil Jehoshaphat. Is that it? I don't know. Hello, Eddie. And let's see. Garth already said hi to you. Come on, Garth. Hello, Catherine. Hello, Wendy. Hello, Tedria Denise. So is Tedria your last name? And I call you Denise? I'm not sure. Let's see who else is in here. You guys, I'm so glad you guys are here. This is going to be great. We are going to be introducing y'all to one of our new compatriots who's going to, like I said in my live stream over on Facebook, who's going to be playing a pretty big role here on the Church Media Guys. And with our website and all the content we're creating and stuff, it's really cool. This guy brings a lot to the table, a perfect complement to the different sides of the coin that Justin and I occupy. So I'm really looking forward to introducing him to you. Justin, are you almost ready?
Almost.
Okay. No problemo. So, hello, Christ Episcopal Church. Okay, so, all right. So, Tedra, that is your first name. Okay. I wasn't sure. We have people, guests, or not guests, but we've got viewers like from all over the world. And in some countries, it's like last name and then first name. So, with Tedra and Denise, I was like, wait a sec. Are we flipping them around? Hey, James. Hey, Renee. Have you guys been having a good week? I'm assuming all of y'all are doing live streaming and or pre-recorded on-demand stuff like that for your church. Is everything going smooth? Have you guys been getting the kinks worked out? Let me know. Let us know in the chat how that is going. And I want to encourage y'all. If you are running into hiccups, like we ran into hiccups today, if you are running into hiccups, that's just par for the course, okay? Nothing is going to be perfect. One of my biggest mantras besides get started is that if you're waiting for perfection, it ain't happening. So stop that. You can put that out of your head. Just get started and get moving and just get better. Fix something that broke last week. Make it better. Look at it with a critical eye. That's really hard to do sometimes. Look at it with a critical eye and say, how can I make this better? If I can get another 10% better this week, then 10% better the next week, then 10% better the next week, then 10% better the next week. You know, after a month, you're 150% better than you were when you started. So just iterate, iterate, iterate. That's something that people do when they're developers, right? So like app developers and people that build websites and create products and do all this sort of stuff, they get it started and then they make it better and make it better and make it better and make it better. And when what you end up with 2 years down the road is a whole lot different than it was when you first started. So don't try to make it perfect right now. Just do the best you can and move forward. You about ready?
Yeah, I can't get into the live control room for some reason, so I'm just gonna have to use the old.
You cannot get into the live control room. You have to do it with the old little thingy.
Okay. All right, we're here. I think I'm ready. Yeah.
All right, here we go. And Bill, you're ready. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome sauce. Hey guys, welcome to another thrill-packed episode of the Church and Media Guys show. If you guys want to learn how to use and leverage the media and technology and all that so that you can take the gospel to the world, then you need to start now by clicking the subscribe button and ringing the bell so that you can be notified when we are going live and when we upload stuff and when we have new stuff coming out and all that sort of great stuff. So subscribe and get the notifications and you will be cocked and loaded, ready to go. With me, as always, is my partner in crime. He doesn't like it when I say lovely and talented, so I'm not going to say it. The mediocre and Justin Nava.
What's going on, guys? I guess I'm going to have to prove Dave wrong and show that I'm not mediocre. I'm actually here to, I hope, contribute to the conversation because this is kind of like my daughter, who's a yellow belt, I think, in karate. This is like her doing a karate show alongside Chuck Norris. And that's how I feel today with who we have on our show and kind of joining our team a little bit. But first, question of the day.
Yes.
We're talking about websites today. And so I want to know, have you updated your church website to reflect the change in services? Did you put your live stream on the front page? Are you pointing people to a new page? Did you put a little pop-up bar at the top? We want to know. So comment below. Have you made what changes to your website? So what's going on? Tedria, Joey, CJ, Catherine, Wendy, Ronnie, Alex, Garth, Eddie, Christopher, Charles, Alex, Irvin, Phil and Luana, Griffin, Renee, Christ Episcopal Church. We got the whole church watching, guys.
Awesome.
And of course, Dave, your dad's here watching. What's going on, John? I'm going to talk to you very soon. Glad you all are watching. Shout out to all of y'all. We also got Center Cross Church in Longview, Texas. Love to have fellow Texans here. And Rock is here too, so I guess that's okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll take him.
But most importantly, who's with us, Dave? Who's our fantastic guest here?
We have a gentleman that I have known for almost 30 years. We went to college together, got to be friends back then, and then kept in touch over the years. Done some work with his agency, and he and I, believe it or not, years ago came up with the idea for what you and I have turned into Church Training Academy and the Church Media Guys. But he and I first had the discussion about putting something together like this way back in 2011. I want to introduce y'all to let me bring up his preview. Here we go. To Mr. Bill Jones. Bill, say hi to the kids out there.
Good morning, everyone, or should I say afternoon, or good evening.
Good evening.
How's it going?
Yes. So Bill and I, like I said, went to college. Bill, give a quick rundown of what you do and where your strengths are. I know you're an artist. I know that you also do websites and stuff, but how have you how long have you been doing that stuff, and how have you like maximized those skills?
Well, Dave, I have been doing art my whole life, pretty much ever since I would say my first sketch was a Kid Flash comic book cover from Teen Titans back in 1980, 83. I've been developing on computers since the 70s. I got involved in development with my dad when he bought computers way back in the day.
Nice.
On little Radio Shack TRS 80s. I've been doing web development since 1997, and I've been doing professional graphic design since 1991. Started out designing T-shirts, eventually got to get my hands on a computer and Photoshop and all those fun things.
Mm-hmm.
And now I design and I develop lots of things digitally online, whether it's e-com or podcasts or just your mom and pop needing an online business card. I pretty much have done everything from small scale to very, very, very large scale.
That's cool.
So, yeah, been doing it for quite a long time.
So, like I said, you and I and another friend of ours, Giovanni, sat down back in 2011 and saw that that the church needed some help in the areas that the three of us had been working in for, I guess at that time, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, in everything from web to marketing to video production, live streaming, podcasting, all that sort of stuff. We roll forward to now, a lot, especially right now, a lot of churches have, over the last 6 weeks or so, been forced into all this kind of space. Justin, let's see, there you are. So Justin and Bill and I kind of wanted to talk to you guys today about where we go from here, because I know, guys, that we're not completely over with all this sort of stuff, but I know that over the next few weeks, a lot of our states are going to be loosening up the controls, I guess, and we're going to be able to start doing more and gathering in smaller groups, and eventually be moving back into life kind of as we've been used to it up until the last 6 weeks or so. Churches will be able to start meeting together and all that sort of stuff. Where does that leave us, though, in this digital world and like with our websites and all that kind of stuff? Justin?
Yeah, so we've been saying your website, your church is going to change after this, okay? Mm-hmm. And not everything is going to magically go back to normalcy when quarantine is over, or self-isolation, or stay-at-home, whatever you want to call it. We're just going to call it quarantine. Just, That's what we're going to call it here on the show. But don't think, oh, it's a stay-at-home, so that doesn't apply to us. My name is Dave. Don't think that, okay? That's my impression of Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah, darn you. Okay, so let's get serious. Don't think that church is going to just return right back to normalcy after this is done. Things are going to be different, okay? Your church, if it opens, is going to open in phases, all right? A lot of states, a lot of counties. We're in Texas. Everything's done by counties because we're so big and diverse. You know, some places are going to open up to 10 or below, then 20 below, then 50 below. Some are not going to open up until a month after others. Things are going to be incredibly different when we start this. And so don't think that when the quarantine ends, church is just going to go back to normal. You are going to be missing significant portions of your membership, of your congregation, whatever you want to call it. I am planning at our church or local churches that I consult with, your congregation that's over 60 or over 60 members, your seniors, they're probably going to stay at home for the next year. If not, they probably should, okay? You need to be prepared to be handing out masks as people come into your building. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be different, and church is going to be different. And because of that, your website needs to be different. The things you communicate, the priorities of your website are going to be different. The way people are using your website are going to be different. Even the way people find your website is going to be different. So that's what we want to talk about. So we're going to start a little bit with what we're doing different right now during the quarantine, during the self-isolation. And this is stuff we've been talking about in the Church Media Hacks group. So if you're not in the group, go to churchmediahacks.com. I'll put a link down below when I stop talking, and go join the group there, because we've been talking about it for a few weeks and we're just now able to get to it here on the show. So if you haven't changed your website yet, do it now. hopefully you've done it before, and we're gonna show you some previews. Hopefully, if Dave can get those up, I know he's got a lot on his plate right now, but I will give you the links, and you can at least go check it out for yourself. So right now, let's talk about current changes to websites.
Okay.
I can only speak to what I've done for my clients, and Bill, I'm sure, can speak to some of this as well. So I just want to go through a few quick updates here. We're going to hit it kind of quick. Quarantine updates. First of all, I think we've all hopefully put our live stream front and center on the homepage. This is service right now. Okay, your live stream is your service. And like I'm going to talk about in my session 5 church live streaming essentials, and I'll put the information down to where you can watch that for free. The way we do with our live stream right now, you can't just rely on people to just go find it, right? Just like we promote our church by having billboards, yard signs, a big old sign up front, and we try to use social media to bring people to our church, you should be promoting your live stream. There is no reason you cannot tell people about your live stream. And an easy way to do that is to put it front and center. Watch our live stream here. Watch our sermon archive here. Watch live here, or just put the live stream, however you do it, on the front page. It should absolutely 100% be featured. And then, of course, your events should be updated. This includes like your normal service times. If you still have a plan a visit page on your website that you're not redirecting away from, it's kind of wasted real estate. There's probably some other hits that your website's going to take if you leave that up and just no one cares about it or bounces out really quickly, because that's irrelevant. So you should have some information on what events are going on right now or what are replacing events. So for example, instead of home groups, you probably have Zoom groups. So you should be telling people we're meeting in Zoom. You should probably not have home groups at least featured on your homepage of your website. So those are a couple of highlights. There's a couple other things I'm sure that I missed, but let me stop talking because I've been talking for a while. Take it over to Bill. Bill, what are you encouraging your clients to do or people to do, or what have you seen that people should be focused on with their website right now as we are in this weird period of quarantine?
I think part of it is I agree with everything you said, Justin. I think another part of it too is making sure you're being very active on social media channels, that you're promoting your social media channels. I know, for instance, we personally watch our church through the Facebook live feed, through the Facebook app on our Apple TV. So you'll have people that want to do that, but Justin's also correct in that we can't just assume that everybody's going to be able to figure that out and they're all tech wizards out there. They need simple tools, and that's the reason why embedding your live stream on your Facebook page, on your homepage is important, or at least linking to your Facebook page so that people can find your Facebook page live feed. I know a lot of churches that I have talked to over the past several weeks have really been using Facebook heavily, because Facebook does make it easy for you to do live shows. And we see a lot of different experiences. You have people who are being very professional and actually have kind of a studio set up, and then you have others that are being a little bit more grassroots, and you'll have the worship pastor doing the music in their house, and you have the pastor doing the sermon in his house. And it's really just about making sure that whatever you're doing really fits your congregation. Don't feel all the pressure to overproduce. Just make sure that you're making the content available, because right now we're at a point. I was having a discussion with another guy in ministry last night, that we're at a point where we have the opportunity to connect with more people than ever before, because no one's going anywhere, and people are tuning in more than they ever have before. Big churches like Elevation and places like that are seeing record numbers of people that they would have never had the opportunity to minister to because of live streaming. So don't neglect it. Use the easy tools that are out there. Follow what we're doing over here, because we're going to make it as simple for you as possible. We're obviously available whenever we can to answer your questions and help you work through technical difficulties. But the main thing is, using those social media channels, using your website full tilt. Don't just rely on a Sunday morning service either. Use it as a ministry tool ongoing throughout the week. Use it to have prayer services. Use it to do a morning devotional. I had a pastor friend call me 2 days ago asking me what other things should I be doing, and I asked him what he was doing, and he's doing a scheduled devotional on a every other day basis, in which he promotes through Facebook, through Instagram, and that's a great idea. That's a great tool. You want to get past the Sunday morning service and really give people encouragement and hope during this time. A great way to do that is live events on social media outside of the main service that gives people other ways to connect to your ministry or church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. One of the things that you mentioned was that people need to be, like you watch it on your Apple TV, and then other people watch it on their phone and stuff like that. And I just want to encourage everybody to, going back to what Justin was saying about putting your live stream, join us live, up on the front page of your website. From where I sit, everybody should be should be streaming to YouTube. I know a lot of people like streaming to Facebook and all that, but you can embed the Facebook Live player now, but I say do the YouTube one, and that way you can actually put that on a page on your website, and name that page live, so that anybody can go to BillandTed'sExcellentChurch.com/live, and if you're live, it'll be playing. If not, then it'll be a schedule saying here's when we go live or something like that. And you can do that. There's some other players out there where you can take like that YouTube feed and plug it in there, but it's really easy to do with the YouTube one. And the key takeaway, I think, from that is having a page on your site that's /live. It's very easy to market that. Very easy to say, go to State Springs Baptist Church /live, and boop, there's the live page, and it's kind of ready to go. That way, people don't have to jump through hoops. They don't have to go to sermons, and then there's the archive.
Right.
Watch that podcast. Hang on a sec. Wait, is that? Am I? It alleviates any kind of thing. And if you weren't doing that before, now's the time to definitely do that. And obviously, moving forward, doing that. Justin, what else?
Yeah. Do you have the websites, or should I share my screen for a couple of examples, some inspiration?
You can, sure.
Okay, I'm going to try to share my screen.
All right, this will be interesting, folks. Here we go. First time.
Hang on a sec. I got to turn on permissions here on my Mac here. Darn you, Mac, and your security. Okay, let's see if this works. I am going to start sharing. Can you see?
There we go.
Can you see my website?
We are in this together.
We are happening. Things are happening. So I'm going to give you 3 websites, and I'm going to run them down real quick because we don't have too much longer for the show, and we want to get to some other things. I want to show you 3 websites here. These are not my websites. These were developed by friends and other churches that are just on my radar. This is North Point Community Church, and as you can see, they are doing a whole homepage takeover, meaning this is not their typical homepage. This is just something that was built just for now. So we're all in this together. And then a video learning about how the church looks. The phone looks even better. Mm-hmm. And this is not a replacement homepage. This is actually changing the homepage. Now, I don't know what SEO hits you might take because of this. Probably Bill can address more of that, whether you want to do some kind of redirect during this time. We can address that later. It's probably a little bit outside of the scope of what we can introduce to you today. But this is what you should be doing right now, okay? Worst case, you can have a pop-up or something. I'm going to take my screen off here. Worst case, you can have like a pop-up that says, hey, coronavirus information, come here or whatever. If you can't design it super great like this, that's fine. Just have a rundown of text updates. That's still okay. So everyone's on the same page, literally the same page of what's going on at your church. That is priority number 1. If your church website hasn't changed right now, you need to get that stuff up front and center. Bill, did you have any final thoughts before we move on into the future?
Well, the most important part is to make sure we're communicating, and that we're communicating the same thing, and that we're actually saying something about what's going on, and how everyone can minister to everyone right now. And I think that's the biggest takeaway is give your people tools to minister to each other, and make it readily available, easily accessible, et cetera, et cetera. So great job, Justin.
Cool. Oh, well, thanks. I wasn't fishing for that, but
yeah, you were.
That's like Jackie Chan saying, "Hey, you're pretty good at this." Oh, awesome, cool. I don't know why we're stuck in martial arts here. Okay, so
why wouldn't we be?
Let's flip the switch and talk a little bit about trends beyond this. Now, we're trend casting. We are using what we know to forecast what's going to come beyond this. So there's always a risk of, if you plan this and it ends up not working out, just that ahead of time. But we've been doing this for long enough that we can kind of reliably forecast what we should expect to happen. And nothing here is going to kill you if you do it and it ends up, if anything, you'll get a smaller uptick than a larger uptick. So I just wanted to touch on some trends beyond this. Number one, like I said before, when the quarantine ends, and I'm going to try to slow down because I realize I've been talking really fast. After the quarantine ends, your congregation is not going to return to the same size it was before. If you had a congregation of 200, probably only 80, hopefully 100, maybe 50% is actually going to come to your first Sunday service. I really don't expect people to be flocking out of the home because there is still a lot of health concerns, okay? People living with family. We got a lot of millennials living with their parents. We got a lot of parents of different cultures, especially when I lived in South Texas in the Hispanic culture, a lot of parents lived with their kids. So there's a lot of concern there about the kids going out, and I say kids, I'm talking about 30, 40-year-old, 50-year-old people going out and bringing bad junk in to then infect their parents. So that is still a primary concern. So you're not just going to be missing 60-plus-year-olds. You're also going to be missing families that are heavily involved in living or doing life with older family members. That's going to be a huge concern. So your live stream is not going to go back to where it was. Your live stream is going to be critically important. And not only that, you're going to have to plan some way when your small groups start meeting together again. You're going to have to figure out a way to keep Zoom meetings or whatever you're doing to create participants there, keep that going, because your senior adult Bible studies, your small groups, you still need to have a plan because there are going to be some people that do not want to leave the house just because the quarantine is magically lifted.
Right.
We either want to bend that second curve, prevent a second wave, or just we don't want to get uncomfortable and risk our family just because something might still be out there, especially as more data comes out, again, beyond our scope here, that a lot of people are asymptomatic, and it's most contagious when you don't show symptoms. It's right before you get the symptoms. So I don't want to take that chance.
Right.
Other families don't want to take that chance. So be ready when you start. Sorry, Dave, let me just finish this. Be ready when you start meeting in person. Have that digital aspect to be able to feed into it.
Yeah, and the reality is, from what we're learning so far about this thing, is that there probably won't ever be an actual cure. There will be kind of like the flu, where you can get like a quote unquote vaccine that can help you with the current flavor of this thing that's going on and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to catch it. And since we know that it is more, it attacks worse people that are immunocompromised. We're talking about like elderly folks. So we may be moving into a place, Justin, where seasonally our elderly folks, or the ones that, like I've got a friend that has immunodeficiency because of all of the cancer treatment that he's gone through and stuff like that. So, we already work with him just as our friends do. If I have a cold, I don't hug him. If I need to take him somewhere, I wipe down my car before he gets in. So we'll be moving into that. So we may look at seasonal times when a chunk of our church is relying on our digital tools while the rest of our church is living the analog gathering. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many times, I think in the past we have said that, we need to add live streaming. We need to do this. We need to be on Facebook. We need to, I should be doing this and we should be doing that. And we have to do this because it's a trend and all this kind of stuff. I think we're way beyond any of that, that these tools are right now, these tools are critical. Your church is going to die or you're going to embrace these tools and continue to engage with your people and help them not forget that you're there, because we're past the inconvenience stage. We're now in the habit forming stage. So the habits that we are forming right now, and the Sunday morning habits that we're going through, we've broken our get up and be at the church by 7:30 and all that. We're in this stage where all these new things are happening and all that. So I think from this point forward, there is going to be this hybrid thing that has to happen. And the thing is, we have to let these things, and the hybrid model, I think personally, is the best. But these things, we're going to have to do some hand holding with each other as we go through this. There's going to be seasons where, there's a more digital, less analog, and then it comes back to where there's more analog and less digital. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Center Cross Church Longview had a really good comment, but before I address it, because it moves away from websites, Bill, do you have any thoughts about how we need to utilize our website once we go further into 2020?
I think it's just about making sure that we have a media plan more than anything. We are already seeing out in the world a huge trend towards podcasts. Huge YouTube stars are getting into the podcast foray, so that's something you should be considering, not just video but audio. I think it's really going to be important for pastors to put out quality teaching outside of Sunday morning, because of this whole hybrid scenario we may be looking at. You need to give people more ways to digest your content. And I think podcast is a big way to do that. Serializing your content is always good. So that church. And as we know, pop culture and the church do intermingle. People are being, quote unquote, retrained as to how they interact with the world now. And so it's smart to look at what other trends are happening and occurring and making sure you have a plan to adjust for those. Because online giving is like one of the things I'm thinking about a lot, is how are churches being affected by giving? How are churches being affected by the fact that people aren't in the pews? You don't have that environment. You don't have that cohesiveness, but you're still needing everyone to do the things that they would normally do because that's what they should be doing. It's part of your path as a Christian. So how do you reinforce that in a digital manner when you're having to think about it and the environment's completely different than it was? Even when you're watching at home, this is the reason why I say you've got to think about it's because even watching at home, it's more, I have 5 kids. So it's kind of a romper room sometimes. If you're watching church at home, people are distracted. They're not as focused.
Right.
All those things go into play. So having multiple ways to engage with your audience with content individually, I think will also be more important, because corporately it might be more distracting for families than it was in the past, because parents aren't used to having their kids typically nowadays in church with them.
Right.
And now they are. So how do you engage the adults to really make sure they're continuing that solid biblical foundation in this new era, if that makes sense?
And before
100%.
before we close this, I'll throw out something that our pastor came up with. And I don't know if there's other ones that are out there doing this or not, but he did this on, I think he did this on Easter. And it was very well received, so much so that it, for the foreseeable future, it's a part of our Sunday morning experience now. Is he basically gets started with the sermon. We read the scripture, we talk about for us, he calls it the sermon in a sentence, which is like the main idea, the main point of what we're going to be talking about today. And he kind of sets it up. Then he takes a little break and he does story time with Pastor Jared, and he reads a children's story, a children's Bible story, 3 or 4 minutes, and he engages the children who are sitting there with their parents or distracting their parents during this time. And what we're hearing back from the families in our church is that the kids, everybody stops and they turn around and they face the TV and they go sit in front of it or the iPad or whatever like that, and they listen to Pastor Jared during that time because he's reading them a story. and then we finish that. And if that story can tie in to the sermon, fantastic. If not, that's okay. Doesn't matter. But what he's doing is he's engaging the little kids who are usually in children's church. Sorry about that. Children's church at this point during the regular week,
Right.
And that's the out of the box thinking I think that we need to have. And as we move into this hybrid model, where does something like that fit in? Maybe we're going to start doing that where we have, that little 5-minute time, in the transition between worship and the sermon, that the pastor reads a little something to the kids before they go off to children's church. I mean, I don't know, but that's something we've put in there to calm and quell some of that romper room stuff. And from a practical standpoint, it also gives us another piece of content to share through our social platforms throughout the course of the week. Does that make sense?
100%. There's
exactly.
So much
reusing content.
Right.
There's so much more here that we can get into, and we kind of scoped in a little bit on talking about the website, but there's just we can't fit everything in.
No, there's a lot to talk about, kids.
I mean, we haven't even talked about, there's just so much more. Let me just throw this out there as far as your live stream, because I want to make sure everyone has advance notice of this. Next week, there is a live streaming boot camp that I'm going to be giving a session on 5 church live streaming essentials that get people interested in your church. And you can have your live stream on your website. You can have your live stream on your social. You can have the best tech ever. But if you don't have these 5 essentials, then your live stream is not going to be interested and people are going to tune it off. Your live stream is not just to broadcast your message. It's to get people in community when they cannot be there in person.
Right.
And someone commented, one of the churches in the chat commented, many churches are concerned about getting folks back in the pew now that they're comfortable watching at home in their PJs. If that is a concern, you're not live streaming the correct way.
Right.
So I'm going to talk more about that in the Church Media Hacks group because we're running on time here. So go to churchmediahacks.com and join the group. But also, I'm going to drop a link down below to the live streaming boot camp. You can get your free ticket to go watch me on April 30th. Afterwards, I'm going to do a live Q&A. So you can ask me questions about the session. Go watch that because that is super important. It's not just about the tech. It's not just about the camera. It's not just about where you put it. It's not about putting blocks in the right place. Just like church is not about we have a children's wing, we have a sermon, we have a band. Great. Now we got church going on. And you walk in and you're just like, man, where's the discipleship? Where's the fellowship? Where's the praise? This is just a show. You don't want to have a live stream that's just a show, just like you don't want to have a church service that's just a show. There is so much that goes beyond that, but it's outside of the scope today. So I'm going to put a link down there below and go join the Hacks group because that's going to be super important to continuing this conversation and making sure that you don't just have a live stream, but you have a live stream with purpose.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can I drop in one little bomb real quick?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
One thing that churches, especially as we move into the new environment we're going to be in for the next God knows how long, is ADA compliance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is your website ADA accessible for those with disabilities? Do you have visually impaired people that come to your church? And do you want to have your content accessible for as many people as possible? Then you need to be thinking about ADA compliance, and we'll be working on some content in that regard.
Yes.
Here pretty soon, but that is one thing that churches need to be thinking about. Tech guys that are in this channel right now, you need to be make your site your web ADA compliant so that it's accessible for all.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one particular plugin that I will share, and we'll put in the comments below or in the show notes, wherever you guys put that kind of stuff, of some tools they can readily access and plugins they can use pretty quickly on most platforms that will help them at least get started in ADA compliance.
Yeah, we're gonna go much deeper in some of that over time, because it's become trite, but this is kind of the new normal now. As we move into this hybrid model, this is the way things are going to be from this point forward. So it's time to focus on shoring up some of these things. Bill, thanks for being with us. Justin, as always, thanks for joining us. And guys, take the stuff that we've been talking about and the things that you've been learning here and use it to go change lives. Take care. We love y'all. We'll see you soon.